Today I'm going to show you how to weave in ends as you go so you don't have them all left waiting for you at the end, and also so that you don't wind up with a lump that's evident in your fabric. This technique can be worked from the right side or the wrong side of the fabric. Here we're going to work it from the wrong side because that's where the action really is, and that's true whether you're working it from the right or the wrong side. Here I've worked partway across the row, and I'm going to now change from my pink yarn to my blue yarn. So I'm going to stick the right needle into this stitch as if to purl. But instead of using my old tail here, I'm going to pick up my new yarn, wrap it around my finger to make a little loop, and pull that loop over the right-hand needle, the working needle. And I'm going to pull that loop through instead of wrapping and pulling through like you normally would do with a purl stitch, and complete the stitch, letting the old stitch come off the left needle. Now for my next stitch, I'm going to stick the needle in as if to purl. But before I complete the stitch using my working yarn, I'm going to drape the tail of the old color across it. And I'm going to anchor that tail with my thumb to keep a little tension on it. Now I can work the stitch. And on the next stitch, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use the tail of the new yarn to drape across. Anchor with the thumb. Work the stitch with the new yarn. And we're going to repeat the same motion using the tail of the old yarn. And again, using the tail of the new yarn. Drape across. Work your stitch. You can do this several times with each tail is about right. I usually do about 3 times with each tail. At that point, you have enough of the yarn integrated so that it's not going to unravel itself. And once you've done, about 3 with each of the tails, you can proceed with your work as usual. And when you stop and look at it, you see from this side, you have this one that was worked previously so that you can see more clearly. It's got a little bit of a barber pole effect from the twisting of the alternating tails. But when you look on the right side of the work, you really don't see anything at all. Now it's difficult to see on the one that we just worked, but we can go back to this previous color transition, and you see that even if I press this down onto the table, it's pretty flat. But what really allows it not to have a lump is that when you weave in yarns after the fact, you have to make room for that yarn in the stitch as you pull the yarn through. That creates tension on the stitch and creates lumps. Whereas here, since you're working it right along, the tension remains even and you don't get any lumps. And you don't see the color that you've woven in through the fabric. Even here where it's pretty loosely woven and the colors have a lot of contrast, you really can't see what was going on, even though on the back of the work, it's very obvious.